welcome back to Car Juice. Today I'm going to be giving you guys the squeeze on the 2024 M440 Grand Coupe, and if you should go pre-owned and pick out a 24, or if you should go with a new 2025. The M440 Grand Coupe was created or debuted in 2021, and whenever it first came out, it was only available as a 430, and you could only get it in rear-wheel drive. So thankfully, this one is all-wheel drive, and it's got the amazing B58 engine, but more on that in a second. I want to first touch on some of the key differences between a 2024 model and if you were to switch out and go to the 2025. First and foremost, you're going to notice the badges here, non-outlined. You're not going to have the black badges like you do on the new version of the M440. The biggest difference other than that is going to be the different taillight design. This gray on the top, red here on the bottom. On the 2025 variant, you're going to have the new laser light design, which is just a little bit more staunch. Under the hood, you have a 389 horsepower B58 inline six-cylinder engine. The beauty of going with a 2024 model versus a 2025 is you're not going to be getting anything different under the hood. You're still going to have the same additional 7 horsepower from the mild hybrid setup and the illustrious, very reliable B58 engine, making 382 horsepower straight up, and then you got the electric power assist to assist whenever you're at a dead stop and start and go traffic, also assisting with getting this thing pretty good fuel economy. Some other key points that I want to point out are these very nice strut braces. It's going to help you really lean into the corner as you're driving this thing down the road. While we're at the front of the car, I do want to point out some of the key differences between the 2024 model and what you're going to find in the 2025. So in the 2024, you're going to have the old style of headlights. The new style of headlights are a little bit more chamfered and have a little bit of a wider LED span. This one has halo on the front of the car. The front grille has changed just a little bit for the 2025 model year. Apart from that, it's going to be basically the same, and the nice benefit of getting a 24 pre-owned is you can still get the same car just as long as you're okay with these small changes here in the front. Let's go ahead and talk about a little bit more about these wheels and what's going on the side of this car. So again, this one does not have the extended shadowline package. Depending on what year, it's going to be called different things. So it is going to have the cerium gray finished mirror caps, and then you're also going to have the blue brake calipers. And you can select from a couple of different wheel options, but we're going to focus mainly on this one, which has the regular default 245 45 18s, 245 tires here in the rear. Yes, so it's got a square setup. So you've got 4 same tires on both the front and the back of the car. You know, with the 245 tires, they're going to be a little bit cheaper than the 255 or 285s if you had a staggered setup. Focusing on the side of the car, you do have this nice extra kind of body line here that runs down the side. You've got a non-paint matched portion here on the bottom. On the 25, this is about the same as well, so nothing has changed on the side profile of the car. So very cool. On the M440, you're going to have these very flush door handles. On the inside of this one, you have the Cognac Sensitech seats. So these are the non-leather option. I do always recommend going with the leather option if you're looking for something that is a little bit more sporty, if you're a skinnier guy like myself. But if you're not worried too much about handling and you're just going to be using this thing as a daily driver, the Sensitech seats are very comfortable. Let's go ahead and hop into the back seat. Something that's cool on both the 24 and 25 is you are going to have the comfort access keyless entry on both the front and back of the vehicle. Something I always try to point out whenever I'm doing a review on these M440 Grand Coupes is that the rear headroom is a little bit more reduced as you're getting into the back of an M440. So the M440, you lose a little bit of that head clearance as you're getting into the back of the car. So keep that in mind. As far as a rear seat experience though, it's not too bad with the M440. I've got about 3 inches, 2 to 3 inches or so of headroom in the back, and overall I'm pretty comfortable. You can get heated rear seats, so that is an extra option. And then as far as rear legroom goes, I've got plenty with probably about 5 or 6 inches of rear legroom with a 5'8" driving position. If I were to switch over to the passenger side, sitting behind a 6-foot driver, I am going to have somewhere in the realm of about, I would say, like 3 to 4 inches or so of legroom in the rear. So not the worst thing. Another nice thing too is you do have a little bit of ambient lighting that goes along the side. And since this one has the upgraded Harman Kardon sound system, you've got metal door covers with the Harman Kardon logo on the side there. However, you don't have a sunroof that reaches to the back seat, but it's overall pretty comfortable in the back, and you do have your own climate comfort control here in the rear of the car. And then you have a USB Type-C for both you passengers passenger side and the driver's side. The cup holder arrangement is standard, and you have 4 ISOFIX brackets here in the back if you're gonna be rocking car seats. The center pass-through does fold down completely flat, so if you're going skiing, you can pass those through the center. And since this is a hatchback, you can actually look into the trunk of the car straight from the back seat. Let's go ahead and hop on to the outside and touch on the last couple of things. I was going to try to do a different format with my video, but we've got some insane rain coming, and I'm trying to get this done before the rain comes. This one is an MX Drive model. Being in the Midwest, we do mostly get X Drive in. You can get this in rear-wheel drive if you wanted and save about $2,000. Would not recommend it, as it's not worth the difference in depreciation that you're going to face picking out a rear-wheel drive, but I do want to mention that at least it is available. Let's go ahead and hop into the driver's seat, go over a couple of things here on the driver door. You've got memory seats. If you set it up with the My BMW app, you will be able to have one for yourself and be driver 1 and 2, and your partner would also be able to be driver 1 and 2 as well. So 2 people can share the car pretty well, as long as you don't mind setting up a connected drive account. The steering wheel is one of the other big differences. In the 2024, we still have a circular steering wheel. You can still option this with adaptive cruise control, but it was a $1,700 option back then. A nice thing about the 2025 is you can get adaptive cruise control for a simple $500 option as part of the driving assistance package. So that is a big upgrade. Also, the flat bottom steering wheel versus the round steering wheel. The flat bottom steering wheel is much more conducive to long road trips, making it easier to drive because you can just rest your hand right on this flat portion here at the bottom. Circle steering wheel isn't bad, but it's just not quite as sporty. The 25 also has a little red insignia here at the very top. So one of those nice differences. You are also going to have a little bit of a different arrangement as far as your infotainment setup goes. You're going to have the same screen on the 25. Accessing the climate menu is a little bit different. So this is iDrive 8. On the 25s, you're going to have iDrive 8.5. So basically the climate control, you're going to have quick access buttons for your heated seats on the driver and passenger side directly through the bottom of the screen, and then you can also control the fan speed a little bit easier. Other than that, it's basically the same as far as everything goes in terms of creature comforts, gear levers, transmission levers, those sort of things. They're all going to be basically the same between this car and a 25 model. You are still going to have a wireless charger here in the center and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto so that you can access those while you're on the road. A couple of cool settings down here. You got your sport, comfort, and eco mode, so you can switch between the different gears, and each of those are going to change the input and throttle response. You've got your wide angle camera view. Both the current generation and the future generation are going to have the same feature, and you can also activate the parking cameras by pressing the little P with the traffic cone button, and then activate the 3D view. Again, all of this is the same on the 24 versus 25. So on the inside, basically, as long as you're okay with a flat bottom steering wheel and you don't have to have adaptive cruise control, you're probably going to be just as okay with going with a 24 versus going with a 25. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and put one version of you guys up here on the dash and another version of you guys here on the window, and we're going to take this thing on a quick spin. All right, so in the driver's seat of the 2024 BMW M440 Grand Coupe, you're gonna find yourself in a pretty decent cabin. We're gonna start off the test here in comfort mode, and then we're gonna switch over to sport once we've had a second to drive around in the regular comfort mode. So overall, oh my goodness, that guy's doing donuts in the this little grass cutter. That's hilarious. General ride and comfort and position goes, can't quite get the M440 seat to cup up quite as much as I want, say as like on the M340 or maybe even a little bit on the M240. The M440 seat is maybe a little bit more flat than say like the M340 seat is. But this isn't going to be part that actually changes whatsoever of 24 versus 25. As far as performance and handling and driving and stuff like that goes, they're completely identical. So the 382 horsepower is going to allow this thing to get to 60 in a little bit over 4 seconds. Comfort mode limits any kind of additional piped in exhaust noise or anything along those lines that you're going to have as you're driving the car around. So comfort is pretty great for your daily driving kind of scenario. The M440 versus M340, the 440 turns in a little bit better, and I've noticed that the 340 is a little bit more playful. So very, very small differences between the two different cars, but you know, the M440 being a hatchback does make it a little bit more practical if you're somebody that doesn't have to frequently get small kids in and out of the back seat of the car, and you know, is looking for something that's a little bit more, I don't know what to say, but probably just more practical for like a family of 2 to 3, less practical for a family of 3 to 4. The 340 is going to be, you know, a little bit more practical with that larger sloping rear roof line, more playful and fun if you're kind of looking to swing around, and it's also about $5,000 less expensive than you're going to be looking at if you were looking at the 440. The cool thing is, though, with the 440 is you have the hate it or love it, you're going to have the more aggressive front end with the large kidney grills and that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. So comfort mode, pretty decent, good for your daily driver, going over potholes and stuff. It's not too rough. If we kick it into Sport Plus, that's gonna put 70% of the power to the rear wheels and then 30% to the front wheels, allowing this thing to kick out in the corners a little bit more, and also just like kind of hang a little bit better as far as it goes into the corners. It's also going to stiffen up your adaptive suspension, which you're definitely going to want to get if you're somebody that is in the market for a 440 or 340, worth every cent of the extra $550 to add that on the onto the car. Man, also really love the little piped-in exhaust noise with the pops and cracks and burbles. I don't mind it too much. On the X3 M50, it does tend to lag a little bit, but on the M440, you're gonna have just enough exhaust note that kind of rolls into the car. Especially if you hit the perfect downshift going underneath the tunnel, you can hear those pops and cracks. I miss the old M340 and, you know, those sort of things back in 2019, 2020. Those things would freaking scream and pop and crack like nobody's business. But the M440 is a pretty fun car. I think that the 2024 is probably your best bet if you're gonna go for a pre-owned model. I do really love, you know, the new flat bottom wheel. It makes a huge difference, and I, in past videos have carried home about how much I love the flat bottom wheel, and I think that if you have to have a new, I don't think it would be the worst mistake in the world if you're willing to, you know, pay a couple $1,000s more to go with that versus going with a pre-owned car. Because the flat bottom steering wheel is in my opinion worth it. The other things, such as like the different taillights, the different headlights are low on my list. The taillights are pretty cool, and the better steering wheel are the highest factors on the list as far as things go, you know, going with that newest, latest, and greatest. So